A7.
Good day, hashtag Burst TV family. Yes, the lighting is splendid. It's absolutely splendid today. Oh, so marvelous. Thank you very much. I'm Aaron Mack, hashtag Verse TV family, and it's week 100, 255. A7. So I got that part right, but it's hashtag Verse TV 255A7. Yes, I'm Aaron Mack, and let's get started with the song. So we'll do the song, then we'll do the question, then we'll do the thank yous, the showing of appreciation to everyone. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So, my song choice for this week is none other than the relatively new song 2015's Wait a Minute by Willow, aka Willow Smith, aka Will Smith's daughter. But I get it. She's going by the what I forgot because she's like, I can make it on my own. Cool. Yep. And I love this single. Technically it was the last single from her debut album, Ardipithecus. And as far as the name of that album, I apologize, you guys, because you can probably tell that I just did an awful job with that name, but I think I kind of got it right. It's better than that time that I was in high school. This girl that I had a confused gay boy crush on, I guess, or whatever. She was one of the really smart girls. And she was in the AEP classes. I was just in the honors classes. She was in AEP. And they were reading a book. Okay, I'll spell it, and you all test how you would pronounce it, and then listen to the way it's actually pronounced. But the book was called Antigone, and I walked up to her, and I was like, "Oh, nice. So what book are you reading? Antigone?" And she looked at me. She was like, "Antigone? No, it's," and slammed the book closed. Antigone, thank you. Goodbye. And I was like, oh, okay, shade, but yes, yes. And so Willow's song from her debut album entitled Ardipithecus, reminded me of my experience with her in high school. Also, she had a photo at that time where she was wearing two bun braids like Brandy back in the day. And I was like, yes, Willow, okay, I see you, two bun braids on top of your head. Yes. And yes, I love it. And also, I remember when Whip My Hair was brand new, and that was 2010, i.e., still like I call them my club days, but technically I was never a frequent club goer. I would go occasionally. I love the music. I would love to dance and such on the dance floor and all of that. And I remember one time I was with my friend. We went to the club and they actually played Whip My Hair on the club floor. And I get it because the bass in that song, I'm a 90s kid. So the bass in that song hits. I must admit, as a kid of the 90s, I love it when the bass hits in the beat. I love that stuff. And the bass was hitting. And I just kind of honestly refused to dance to it because I'm like, wait a minute. In 2010, that means she is 10 years old. And dudes are grinding on each other in the club to whip my hair. I don't know, DJ. I don't think that was a wise choice. But again, the song got some play. You know, it was hit. It was a hit. You know, enough of a hit that the DJ decided to play it at the club, and it was like I just felt so awkward. I'm like, but she's 10. The singer of this song is 10, and look, but I'm sure worse things have happened as far as playing young artists. I mean, for crying out loud, as an 83 baby, I remember when Brandy was new and she was what, 15, 16 when she came out. And I'm sure they probably played, that would have been so interesting. Now, I definitely was not club age at that time. Brandy came out in 94. So that was the year I turned 11. And I was like, but I can imagine that the clubs played I Want to Be Down by Brandy. And I could imagine somebody like me at that point being like, somebody like me, if they were actually club age at that time, being like, wait a minute, you're playing Brandy's I Want to Be Down in the gay club and dudes are grinding on each other to I Want to Be Down by Brandy. I want to be down. Anyway, but yeah, you know. All right, the thank yous, and then we'll go to the question. Thank you to everyone around the globe who is a hashtag Verse TV family member. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Germany, thank you. Germany, thank you. Yes. Belgium, thank you. Canada, thank you. United States of America, thank you. Thank you all so very much for sticking with hashtag Verse TV through it all. That's a song, a gospel song. I seem to remember our choir used to sing it years ago. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon Jesus or something. But I love that song too. Just like we love our hashtag Verse TV family members, I loved that song as well. Through it all, I've learned. Anyway, but yes, through it all, through it all. Thank you for sticking with hashtag Verse TV through it all. This lighting is fabulous. I'm being silly. Okay, the hashtag Verse TV question. I have like 3. Well, a precious few minutes, but enough. And the first 2 presses is, what's one thing you practice on a daily basis that improves your life? You know, something I've been thinking about lately. I used to sing all the time around the house. Like I remember my granddad and I shared a house. My granddad one time came down because I would be in the basement and I would belt sing because, you know, as an 80s baby, 90s kid, I'm a Whitney Houston stan. So to me, good singing is being able to belt like Whitney Houston, you know? So I would be downstairs belting, and I remember one time Granddad came down while I was having a belting session. And he was like, okay, Aaron, I would like to request that you tone it down. Tone it down for the evening. And I was like, really? Anyway, but yeah. In terms of things that improve my life, one thing that I've been thinking about in relation to singing, because I don't sing as much as I used to. I do a little bit, but I'm like, I bet that breath control of singing actually would benefit my physical well-being for the breath control of singing. See, I'm even doing a horrible job with this example. Singing. Anyway, but yes, that's anyway, that's an example of the fact that I am not where I once was, but I will get back there. I will get there. That's another song I love by Boys to Men from the Prince of Egypt soundtrack. That's another one from my childhood. Yes. Yes, I'm 40, okay? Stop it. Stop hating. Anyway, but yes, from my childhood. And the hashtag VerseTV next question. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and please do not forget to click like. Thank you. Click. I did that before, and I was click, 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 click. That's a song by Tiffany Evans. Anyway, all right.
Hashtag Lemon Musk. Hashtag X. PageSix.com. Hashtag VerseTV A7A. PageSix TV. Don Lemon breaks silence on list of diva demands to join Elon Musk's X. Quote, people negotiate all the time, end quote. By Ian Moore, published March 20th, 2024, 6:48 p.m. Eastern. Houston, we have a problem. After reps adamantly denied that Don Lemon had a list of diva demands to join Elon Musk's X, the ousted anchor admitted in a new interview, quote, people negotiate all the time, close quote. Lemon didn't deny whether he really had ambitions to be the first podcaster in space, the most out of this world request among a heap of sky-high demands he made when hashing out his contract with Elon Musk's X platform. Before Lemon was axed from his X gig by Musk, he'd put in the moonshot request to go to space and also wanted a $5 million advance on top of an $8 million base salary, plus equity and veto power over the site's news policies and its creative roster. The Post previously reported. Article continues below.
All right. So let's be honest. I feel that the choice of the writer of the article, or if the writer was quoting somebody else, to call them diva demands, I kind of think that was a little piece of shade because he is same gender loving, right? So, of course, there are diva demands, right? They could be Devo demands. And of course, while diva is the female lead of the opera, Devo is the male lead of the opera. I get it to the extent that at the end of the day, the general public, popular culture doesn't understand what Devo is versus diva. You know, when they hear Devo, they're like, "Oh, that group that sang Whip It?" Older people think that because yes, I was like a baby when that was new. Anyway, but yes, they don't know that the general public doesn't know that Devo is the male of a diva because the diva is the female lead of the opera. Devo is the male lead of the opera. But they just call them diva demands for him because he was gay and that's eye-catching. I get it. Cute. Okay. Yep. Anyway, as far as Don Lemon talking about people negotiate all the time, that reminded me of a show that I loved and love called The Critic that used to come on, I think, Comedy Central, starring John Lovitz as Jay Sherman. And I remember in this one episode, Jay Sherman was negotiating with his boss, like the head of the network, because the premise of the show, really quickly, is Jay Sherman is a critic, a movie critic, and he works on a television network, and you know everybody's got somebody to please, and he works for the head of that network, and the network did some like outstanding thing because the running joke, I guess, is Duke Phillips was like a billionaire. The head of the network was like a billionaire and did some extravagant thing to get Jay Sherman out of trouble. And he was like, well, you know, you owe me, boy. And Duke was like, so this movie, whatever the movie was, it's irrelevant. It was a bad movie is the point, though. And so what rating are you going to give my new movie? And Jay Sherman was like, okay, thank you for saving me. Yes, I will give it 2 stars. And Duke Phillips was like, 1,000,000. 1,000,000 stars. And Jay Sherman was like, okay, 3 stars. And it's like, that's interesting because in reference to people negotiating, that's what Duke was doing. You know, you shoot for the neighboring galaxy, and at least you'll get among the stars if you miss the neighboring galaxy. So, yes, as far as his demands, I think it actually would have been kind of cool to have the first podcast in space. And I feel that I should have looked up Elon Musk's age, but no, I did look it up. He's 71. Because I was going to say, having the first podcast in space actually is a really big deal. And you absolutely should do that. Now, I don't know if you pulled back from Don Lemon because you're like, we're going to do that same stuff, but we're going to do it with somebody else. And the industry can be complicated at times, because it's my understanding a rap female artist, that was her problem with this other rap female artist who came out, and everybody's going to remain nameless for the sake of this example. But this other rap female artist who came out, because she was like, those songs that you did, I actually did with that record company first. But then they magically pulled out of working with me. And next thing you know, they're working with you. And you come out with those songs. And the person is wildly popular. So, I guess that's just how the industry goes. And will Elon Musk potentially work with a hip, fresh, younger YouTube sensation? Hashtag Verse TV, the first hashtag Verse TV, the first LGBT plus and ally social media millennial collective network broadcasting live from space. Work with somebody else on being that person to have a podcast from space. But reading the entire article, yeah, there were actually some really cool ideas that they were working with. Now, whether or not we'll see those ideas manifest with somebody else, I don't know. And as far as him requesting $5 million advance, you have to understand the terminology. An advance is money that you get in advance with the expectation that you will make that money back. And if you don't make it back, then there's a problem. Anyway, but that, and I also, farther in the article, it talked about Don Lemon's saying, I don't read the New York Post. I don't read that. I read their horoscopes. Correction, I read their horoscopes, but I don't read the New York Post. It reminded me of, as somebody who does a show, hashtag Burst TV, it really kind of drives me crazy when you'll get somebody on your show when it's a new show, not yet hugely known, somebody on your show, and they'll be like, I'm sorry, why am I here? I don't know what you do. I don't watch your show. What's going on? Yeah. Anyway, but yes, it reminded me one time, Zach Noe Towers, who has an exceptional show called After Hours with Zach Noe Towers on Sirius XM. And his guest, like, this was during the early days of his show. It's still new. They are a good ways in at this point, though. And this person was on his show, and the guy was like, and on the show, live on the show, he was like, and what do you do here again? I'm sorry, I don't even know why I'm here. What is this? What is this again? What do you do? I'm sorry, I don't watch your show. What is this again? And I love it. Zach Noe Towers, just exceptional coolness, was like, wow, just coming in hot, and played it so cool. Oh my gosh. Because, yeah, sometimes people can be like that. Like, I'm sorry, I don't watch your show. What is this again? Anyway, yes. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and please do not forget to click like. I think we're actually really early, I think. But I think not, so I don't know.
Hashtag for future husband, heart, heart. Hashtag exes at tonight's conversation. Hashtag for CVA7B. Describe your current relationship with your exes.
So, as I have said in time past, time is singular, past is singular as well, and time past. Because, no, I have said it multiple times. So, in times past, yes, baby, love, I just want to let you, this time is for you. Baby, I just want to let you know, a lot of my friends, we did start off dating and then decided to just become friends. So technically, they are my exes. You know, the gay world is so small. We don't have the entire world of gay people. We just have a small us group. And thinking about this reminded me of this as I was writing my answers. It reminded me of the song by SWV, my favorite female singing group. I love Destiny's Child, right? SWV is my favorite female singing group. And I think that's related to the fact that I'm just a little bit older. I'm an early 80s baby. I'm sorry. But on the SWV song, Best Years of Your Life, when they sing, I I think if this was not Coco, it was definitely Lily. But I was young, I was dumb, I played the fool. But one thing today it proves, I gave you the best years of your life, of your life. And I was also thinking about that song a little bit more, and it's like, that's so interesting because okay, baby, so a lot of my friends are my exes, but I will say, yeah. So I communicate with them a little bit still. Some of them. Some of them have fully faded away as I have moved states away, but some of them are still around. And to you, baby, my heart, I will trust you. And as far as dealing with your exes, just like my interacting with my exes, I'm not interacting with them and then spreading my legs for them. No, I only spread my, anyway, it's only for you, baby. But yes. So as far as interacting with exes, yeah, I won't hold that against you, baby. You know, we are starting afresh, starting anew together, and we won't F it up, like RuPaul says. Anyway, I quote her all the time. And I say that because I think RuPaul is not very specific about their gender identity. Anyway, but yeah, we're getting married, and yes, I trust you. Absolutely. And interesting news about my view on condoms, okay? because in speaking with my mental health counselor, she explained, I told her that especially after my friend slash ex, he is another example, somebody who I dated off and on since I think I was 24, he was 23. And along our journey, along our life journey of being off and on, I was diagnosed with MS in my late 20s. He was diagnosed with HIV in his, I guess, late 20s, early 30s, because when it wasn't until we reconnected in our early 30s that he explained that he's HIV positive. Why is he HIV positive? Well, his ex-boyfriend and he went to get tested at the clinic, and they were both HIV negative everything. So now we can go all the way raw together. Yes. And guess what? They were doing that, going raw together all the time. And eventually they had some sort of argument or tiff. And the other guy stepped outside of the relationship and was like, oh, I just want to F somebody else since I am angry with you. Went out, and because he was accustomed to going raw with his partner, he continued to go raw. And he went raw with the guy that he cheated with, who, oops, he didn't know was HIV positive, and subsequently got HIV and brought it home to my friend and didn't want to tell my friend, hey, I'm sorry, I cheated on you. So FYI, we probably shouldn't go raw at this point. So instead, he's like, well, I guess it's okay. And went raw with my friend and gave my friend HIV. And that's how it passed on. And that is part of why I've always been like, even after marriage, I do not want to not use condoms in sex. And my mental health counselor, and this is why I love having a mental health counselor who has a husband, because she is amazing and she gives me marital advice. And she's like, well, you all are going to be married. He's going to be your husband. You should be able to trust him enough to not need condoms with him. And I was like, ooh, is that how I need to change my thinking? And yeah, it's amazing what you do to keep me falling in love with you. I almost had it. It's amazing what you do to keep me falling in love with you. You're all that I know. Something. Anyway, all right. So, did I cover everything? Yes, I love him, you guys. Yes, we have not yet met in person, but hallelujah, there is some good news in the not too distant future. Oh. And I particularly wanted to stress that because I know on the last show, I spoke to, like, oh, I tell him constantly that if you put your hands on me once, and that could seem like I was saying that in reference to me letting him know, oh, you're losing your temper on this video chat that we're having, then, oh, well, FYI, if you ever put your hands on me, that's it. No, like we haven't even met at this point. And, oh, okay, I'll really, my mental health counselor knows how my love and I are currently an ocean apart and connecting via video chat and text message. Singing won't always be this way. Oh my gosh, I have all of these songs. And okay, I'm just gonna, because it's only 40 minutes and I have much more time than that. But let's go into our last topic, and if we have a whole lot of extra time, I will talk with you all about Cleveland weather. I'm kidding. I kid. We did have snow then sunshine. Right next to each other. But like, share, subscribe, click like again, and share again. Like, share, subscribe, and share again. And please do not forget to click like. Thank you.
Hashtag underrated hype TVA7, hashtag Wayna, hashtag my love, at underrated hype TV, hashtag verse TV A7C.
Pretending not to see the signs. I have loved that song for so many years. And quite frankly, the reason I've loved it for so many years was or is because of the beat and the melody she sings on top of it, and the fact that it's a deep song. I had such an experience with a dude putting his hands on me once. And that's why I tell my love, my heart, that he's got one time to put his hands on me, just one. And I tell him that, and I stress that so much. And with his cute self, he is just 5'2", because, and I'm 6'2". We're a whole foot apart, y'all. Yes, with his cute self. Anyway, but I make it a point to tell him, because I realize with the other guy who tried to put it on me, I was like, I had never told him in advance, but that's because I didn't know it was a thing that could manifest. So it wasn't until he had it manifest that I was like, oh, well, where do I stand on this? Oh, it's a no. Anyway, but yeah, that's an ELE for me. I remember one time a group of me and some associates went to a friend's house, and he had a Band-Aid on his face. And we were like, are you doing the Nelly thing? What's up with the Band-Aid on your face? And I remember looking at his boyfriend, and I was like, and his boyfriend like very quickly gave him and he said what he was apparently supposed to say, because he was like, "Oh, I fell up the steps." And anyway, as far as that, ultimately the two of them did break up. I think that guy, and perhaps any abuser, needs some help, because I know that the abuser, and this is not an excuse, is not an explanation, not a validation, but the abuser went through a lot of awful stuff in his life. So it's like, that's what he knows. Anyway, so yeah, oof. Okay, suffice it to say that I'm not going to tell you all the whole story, because I really feel like I value so much his opening up to me about this. And I feel like I even told him on the phone or on the video chat or whatever. When he told me that, I was like, "You've never told me that about your upbringing before. I feel like we're growing so much closer." And he's like, "Wow." And suffice it to say, I get it, because we've all come a long way. And the reason that I think that the other guy needs counseling is because, yes, we've all come a long way. We've all had struggles. We've all had effed up ish happen to us. We've got to learn how to work through it. And I also, as far as upbringing, I always speak to the fact that I did have a good upbringing, and I very much appreciate my family. And my mom was always, even though my mom and dad were separated when I was born, they because they were married 4 years prior. And I guess, I don't know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if I was like a last attempt at trying to save a marriage, and that didn't work. So anyway, oh, I was about to get real deep. 50. Anyway, okay. But yeah, my mom would always stress to me that my dad never put his hands on me. And my mom was like, because mothers always know. They always know, y'all. They know. Because my mom was like, if a woman or a man or whatever puts their hands on you, step. She did. She might have said step, because she is very articulate. She also didn't have a problem with, anyway, see my popular culture, right? Terminology. She might have been like, if your partner puts their hands on you, step, leave, end it. It is over. And she talked about how my dad never put his hands on her, and how my mom was like, the closest that happened was one time, because I had been watching so many soap operas, and the woman, when she's upset with her husband, she'll cock back and, "Oh, how dare you," smack him. And my mom said she attempted that one time and she was like, "Oh, you." And she said she cocked her hand back to smack him. And she said that he caught her hand mid swing and he was like, "We don't do that." And she was like, "Oh, okay." So, yes, yes, my mom, my family, very anti-abuse, and that is very much an end of things. And I particularly wanted to talk about it. I'll take these last 5 minutes to talk about the fact that hetero men get abused too. And it's very unfortunate, very awful, especially considering how society receives it as not only are you less of a man because your woman is beating you, but you're less of a man because you're crying over a woman beating you. And it's like, that's very difficult. And I remember thinking of this guy who he's bisexual, and he came out as bisexual on a television program after he was married. And this is so sad. So they were all talking on a panel, right? And he was like, "Yeah, you guys, FYI," like somehow it came up and he just casually mentioned, "Yeah, my wife beats me a lot." And the panel was like, "Oh, no, this is daytime TV. We're not going there. Sorry." And his wife was like, "Darn right I beat him. How dare he come out of the closet and embarrass me on national TV?" And she was like, "Beat that. How dare he? I'm so upset with him. I beat him to a pulp regularly." And you could tell the guy was like kind of put in a position of, she beats me. And I guess he was hoping that coming out and saying she beats me on this nationally televised show would have people sympathize with him and perhaps get him some help, get them some help or something. And everybody was just like, "So how about those Ravens? How about them Ravens? Well, what do you think about the college?" I forget the name of it, but the college basketball playoffs going on, you know? And he was just like, "Oh well, I guess things will just work itself out somehow." And I feel badly, especially because, and I'll close with this, I do connect myself to this because I am a go with the flow, chill, kind of peaceful person. So it's all about who you got to pick well. And former First Lady Michelle Obama spoke to this, how she said, you've got to pick well. You've got to pick your partners well. And I think about myself and how I, being a cool, chill dude, would probably just end up in a situation such as his, where and not speak up about it. And just like the song in Underrated High TV, going to Sephora or whatever, and trying to get like some concealer to hide what the other guy bandaged up. Y'all, I'm sorry. Physical abuse is awful. Stop it. Don't do it. And I realize I get so emotional about it because I remember in college when we pledged, and part of the this I'll put it like this: this was not pledging my fraternity. This was pledging something else. Part of it, we had to get wood, to take wood, as they call it, with the paddles and all of that. And I remember that would affect me a lot. And I realized, oh, you know what? I'm just not used to getting these spankings and stuff because my mom didn't spank me growing up. So I am not accustomed to being beaten. I'm not used to that. Anyway, like I said, that was not my fraternity. That was something else. Anyway, but yeah, I guess that's it. Talk to y'all later. Hashtag Verse TV family. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. Stay blessed. Talk to y'all later. And I was going somewhere with that. Domestic violence is a no. Don't do it, period. Love your partner. Love is the key. Oh my gosh, there's so many songs that talk about love being the answer. Love is the answer to everything. Love. Live love. Let us all live love. Talk to you later. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. Stay blessed. I'm Aaron.